Somebody asked me recently why recruiters are so picky when it comes to reviewing resumes. And you've probably heard the concept of looking for that purple squirrel or that mythical unicorn that employers seem to covet that realistically don't exist. But I'm gonna tell you, I've come across a few of them in my recruiting career. And in this video, I'm gonna share with you the 7 traits that every unicorn candidate's resume possessed. Hey everybody, it's Brian from A Life After Layoff, and today I want to talk to you about what the best looking resumes look like. Now, I'm not covering the average resume that we see time and time again. In fact, when I post a job, it's not uncommon to get 600 or 700 applications for a single role. And a vast majority of those resumes simply are not aligned, they're not a good fit, and they probably won't get an interview. However, every great once in a while, you come across a resume that is so perfect for the job that it jumps off the page at you and you have to get them into the interview process immediately. So keep in mind, this is the 1%ers. This is the aspirational level resume that recruiters get super excited about. In other words, if you're trying to write a resume that really stands out, this is the one that you should be striving for. Now, I'm gonna put a disclaimer here. Not everybody's gonna be able to create a perfect resume like this because it does require career planning in addition to just writing a great resume. I do teach you how to write the best possible resume for your current background with my course Resume Rocketfuel, but it's not a miracle worker. You still have to have a good background and you're only as good as what you've accomplished in your past. So I want you to keep that in mind as well. So the formula for the 1% resume should be careful career planning plus great resume writing equals the unicorn resume. And if you want to support the channel and appreciate what I'm doing here, I would appreciate you hitting that subscribe button. That really does help. So the first sign of an absolutely great resume is something that I have to get out there. It's kind of cliche. It's that it has to be readable. Now, I know this one's a little worn out and most people have heard this tip before, but I still see resumes that look like this. The very best resumes are super readable and they're quick. I call them a fast resume. So in other words, help me find what I'm looking for very quickly. And the traits of a fast resume are, you've got a nice, easy and readable format. It's only 2 pages or less. There's no funky charts, colors, fonts, infographics, any of those columns. You want to keep it nice and simple. And listen guys, stop using these template sites. They're not helping you. They're not ATS compliant. They're slow resumes and they're getting you into trouble. You're much better off just sticking with a simple Microsoft Word template. And another thing we want to do is cut down on all the clutter and all the fluff. Don't need to know every single thing you've ever accomplished. Keep it nice and concise for us and that'll help us find what we're looking for. So again, every great resume I have ever seen is nice and easy to read and I can find exactly what I'm looking for almost instantly. So that brings us to the next trait of a top resume, and that's that it has relevant skills. So make sure you have the right keyword, the right place, at the right time in your resume, and that'll help us get you into the yes pile. If you're not sure what keywords to add, check out the job description really closely. You should be able to find them there. And of course, that leads us to relevant experience, because if you have all the right keywords, it doesn't really do you much good. You have to actually demonstrate them. And if you're entry level and you're listening to this, don't worry, because I know you're thinking, how am I supposed to get relevant experience on my resume if I don't have any relevant experience? Because there's ways to frame those keywords through relevant experience that you might have had in your coursework or in other things like part-time jobs. But the point here is that we want to have demonstrated experiences on our resume because that's going to make you a stronger candidate. The very best candidates also have industry fit, and that's another thing that recruiters and hiring managers tend to look at very closely, especially in more niche or nuanced industries. This is going to be more relevant when you get deeper into your career and you start to differentiate yourself. I used to find this a lot in tech, in particular in the MarTech and FinTech industries. Hiring managers loved it when you had relevant experience in the right industries. So that superstar resume had the right experience, the right keywords, and in the right industries. Now, those of us who are fretting and saying, well, what about transferable skills? And hey, listen, I'm with you on that one. Transferable skills are absolutely relevant. Me as a recruiter, I've always tried to take those into account. However, we're talking about the 1%er here, the perfect fit for the job, the unicorn candidate. And like it or not, industry experience is one of those things that really differentiates you. And this is especially important if you work for a competitor company. That could be a double-edged sword though, because I've seen it work both ways, where working for a certain competitor can help you and it can actually hurt you depending on the employer and the hiring manager's biases. That's right, I actually said there are some biases, and let's be real, there are hiring manager biases. I've made other videos about that. Next up, we have a resume screening bar of education and certifications. Simply put, the top candidates have the right education and the right certifications to complement the rest of their career. Not only from an educational bar, in other words, you have to have that particular degree to check the box, but the degree itself is very complementary to the type of job that you're applying to, and it might be considered an industry-leading school. For example, Michigan State is well known for their supply chain management program, and multiple companies that I've recruited at specifically requested or held people who went to Michigan State in a higher light than a candidate who may have gone to a different school. And pedigree certainly plays a part if you go to business school, because a degree from Harvard University is going to be weighted a lot more heavily than somebody that went to the local community college. But I want to caution that just because a candidate has an Ivy League degree or an advanced degree like an MBA, it doesn't automatically mean that they're going to be a unicorn or a top 1% candidate. Because if the job doesn't require an MBA and you bring that to the table, you can't really expect the employer to value it the same way you will, because it wasn't a requirement of theirs. And on the flip side, when we look at certifications, having the right certifications that will allow you to get ahead in your career, especially in the technical space, there are certain certifications that look really good on resumes. The top candidates are getting the right certifications in the most in-demand job types that they need to propel their career forward. Now, the final couple of things I want to cover are a little bit softer, a little bit harder to kind of quantify, but they are very important nonetheless. And these are the main things that will differentiate the 1%ers from the 99%. Because next up, we have career flow, or what I like to call forward momentum in our careers. And this is something that's a little bit more ambiguous and hard to measure. If we look at your resume, does it tell a compelling story that makes sense? When you enter into the workplace, did you have a sense of direction? Did you have a lot of short-term stints, or what they call job hopping? Do the jobs that you've taken make sense logically as far as career progression is concerned? Is there forward momentum? In other words, are you moving up in responsibility, or is there reverse momentum where you're going backward in responsibility down to a smaller job title? If you see it in the same job type from company to company to company to company over a long period of time without any forward momentum, that is also going to be considered a weakness in your resume, where the top 1%ers will show that forward momentum. Hiring managers will also look at things like, did you get promoted inside of your current job? Because that'll be an indicator of, do you have forward momentum inside of a company? Do they see potential to promote you there? And it could even come down to the choice of companies. Did you choose pedigree companies that are well known in your space, or are considered to be the major innovators in your industry? Or did you opt for companies that nobody's ever heard of before, that are not known to be innovators and don't move the needle in that regard? And the final great trait of all great resumes that I want to cover in today's video is a concept that's even harder to quantify, and that's professionalism. The very best resumes that I've seen just radiate professionalism. It's the choice of words, it's how it's put together, it's nice and concise and professional. It's also demonstrated choice of association. In other words, are you hanging out with the right people? Or maybe it's taking on a leadership role in the local chapter of your major industry association. For example, maybe you're public relations and you sit on the executive committee for the Public Relations Society chapter in your city. And it's the career commitment that you show to being very methodical with how you involve yourself, who you know, and how well respected you are. And we can tell by the 1%ers because it comes right off the page at us. And again, I want to reiterate that the traits covered in this video represent the perfect candidate, the 1%ers, the unicorns. So if you're looking for an aspirational target of what the very best candidates look like, this is a snapshot. If you're somebody that's struggling in your own job search and you're applying to job after job and all you're getting is rejected, and this is assuming that you're reasonably qualified for the roles that you're applying to, it's almost always a resume issue. Now, like I said before, may not be able to create an aspirational 1% for you because we're only as good as what we've accomplished in our past. However, we can write the best possible resume given our current circumstances and how we stack up to the market. And that's where the course Resume Rocketfuel comes in, where it's going to teach you exactly how to write a resume that is going to give you the best chance of getting those recruiters to notice you, to get your foot in the door, hopefully to get that first round interview. And then once you get that first round interview, it's up to you to market yourself throughout the rest of the interviewing process. That's where the ultimate Job Seeker Bootcamp comes in. It takes you from job search all the way through each round of the interview process, giving you tips and techniques along the way, to make sure that we get to the job offer. Once you get that job offer, then we will make sure that you don't leave a single dime on the table through some careful negotiation. And that part's usually worth the price of admission. We can usually get that money back for you in the form of a better offer. But if you want to skip the recruiter altogether, in some cases you don't even need a resume to get into the interview process. And that's how we leverage LinkedIn. So I created a course called Unlocking LinkedIn in order to teach you that. So you can unlock the hidden job market, skip all the way to the front of the line, and head right into the interview process. So if you're struggling with how to use targeted networking in your job search, make sure you check that one out as well. Hey, appreciate you watching. If you found value in this video, really would appreciate a thumbs up, because that does really help the algorithm push this video content out to other people, helps me continue to bring you this content for free, support the channel. So appreciate the thumbs up. Appreciate you watching. We'll see you on the next one.